Okay, so we are doing a website review of Reprise Travel Agency, which is Nicole's agency. And I'm going to start off with just a couple of things that pop right out at me when I open up the web page. And the first thing is this shopping icon right up here. So I've been through the site. I don't see anything that I would be adding to a shopping cart. If I click on it, all that I get is that the cart is empty. So it doesn't look like that's actually doing anything on the site. So I would go ahead and take that off since it's a bit of a distraction up here. But what I would do up here instead is actually add a call to action button. So if I am on your website and I say, okay, I want Nicole to plan my trip, I want to know exactly what I need to do next to have that happen. So if you put a button up here with a schedule your free consultation, schedule an appointment, something like that, that's going to tell me exactly what my next step is. And most likely, I'm going to look up here in the top right corner for that. So that is ideal real estate to put a button like that. As I scroll down a bit, I do see that you have a Calendly link embedded here. I'm not quite sure what happened on the back end of the website that this is so far over. But while it is functional, I can click through to it. I really can't see it, so that needs to be moved over to the left. And again, then you can use that same button right up here in the top and make it really easy for me to schedule that call and get started. Okay, so in this top section, this is what we call above the fold. It's the most valuable real estate on your website because it's what I see every time I open it, as soon as I open it, and before I scroll down. So this is where you want to put something that will entice a visitor to continue looking. So you have your name biggest, which it is important to let people know who you are. But then you have your dream vacation awaits. Um, that's not really the text that I would recommend. So my assumption is if I am going to a travel agency website, that they would be helping me create my dream vacation. That's just a basic assumption as I'm going in. What I'm looking for here is a reason to specifically continue looking at your website. So, what is it that you do, that you provide, that will make somebody want to stay on your site? Um, I've seen tons of different headline options. I've written a bunch of different headline options. One that I used a while back is very simple: everything you want, nothing you don't. So when you work with me, you're getting a customized package that is exactly what you're looking for. Something like that that tells somebody really why they would work with you, why they should stick around, why they should scroll down and continue reading, is really what you're looking for in this prime real estate right here. So we scroll down a little bit, and the first paragraph that we see is about us. Um, I would not recommend starting with an about us. As a consumer, what I am looking for is how you can help me, how you can make the vacation I'm looking for happen. And so, even if you left the text exactly the same, but changed that heading to how we create the perfect vacation for you, um, that tells me there's something I'm interested in there. Because before I'm interested in about us, I need to know what you can do for me. It sounds selfish, it's basic psychology. So I would definitely, at a minimum, change this about us to something more focused on a potential client. So then we get into this paragraph, which is a fine paragraph as far as just basic copy goes. Um, but I don't see anything in it that tells me what makes you different. So there's nothing in here that reflects your personality, um, what makes your business different from every other travel agency. I'll be honest, this paragraph could be about 99.9% of travel agencies out there. And unfortunately, when it is that broad, there's nothing that either repels or draws in a potential client. It's just sort of there. So, what you want is to really infuse the copy with personality. Like, what can someone expect when they work with your agency? Are you super fun and over the top? Are you very luxury professional? There's nothing here to tell me that, to tell me if your agency is the right fit for me. So odds are not that I will keep reading, but instead that I will close the website and look for another agency. So I would definitely recommend getting a lot more specific in the copy, who your agency is, who you work with. Um, and to do that, there's actually a resource that I will link to help you create. It's called an ideal client avatar. And it's basically an exercise in who is the client that I want to work with. One person. You give them a name, you give them an age, a marital status, a job, and income, what they love, what they hate, what they yearn for, what they're afraid of, to really get into who they are so that when you're writing your copy, you can write specifically to that one individual. And while that sounds a little bit counterintuitive because it feels too specific, that individual represents hundreds, if not thousands or tens of thousands of other people with similar hopes and fears and dreams and desires that when they read that copy written to that ideal client, they see themselves. And the more you can get a potential client to see themselves in your copy, the more connected they'll feel, and the more likely it is that they will move through your sales funnel, become a client, and become a client for life. So I'll go ahead and link that so that you can work through that ideal client exercise. Love this picture. It looks like someplace I would like to be right now. But then we get down a little bit further and you see this: why utilize the services of a travel advisor? Again, not specific at all. Why, instead, make it something like why I'm the right travel advisor for you. And really go into like what makes me a good match for my clients. Um, Again, the more specific you can be, actually, the better your copy will resonate with a potential client. We scroll down a little bit further and we have this subscribe to my newsletter. I'll be honest, most people are not going to just enter their name and email for no reason. If this is working for you, that's great. My guess is that it's not. I would recommend switching this out for a lead generator or an opt-in. They're both the same thing. It's basically something free that you provide in exchange for someone's email address and name. It could be a travel guide, a packing list, really anything, an ebook, but something that that ideal client would say, okay, I know I'm going to get emails from this travel advisor, but I want this thing enough that I'm okay getting more emails in my inbox to get it. So that they opt in, provide that information, and you can then have them on your email list. So we scroll down and we get to this free consultation and discovery call. Really easy, just click through and it takes you into the Calendly widget. eventually it was working a minute ago. I'm not sure why it doesn't want to go in. If it's something on my end, it definitely might be. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so this takes you in. I can schedule as early as 8:30 tomorrow morning, um, which don't feel like you have to allow um, appointments that close to when someone makes it. If it works for you, that's great. I actually prefer to set at least 24 hours before somebody can make an appointment, just for my own sanity, so that I don't come into an 8 or 8:30 appointment on a day that I didn't know that I had one. But if that works for you, that is great. Otherwise, feel free to limit that a little bit. Just because you're available doesn't mean you have to be available. The one other thing that I would do on this link is, um, it doesn't tell me, it tells me 30 minutes, but it doesn't tell me what to expect on that discovery call. So is this going to be a high level conversation? Should I come in with information on where I want to go, what my budget should be? There's nothing there to tell me. So I would provide a little bit more information about what they can expect on that 30-minute call. And then we have another opt-in. I'm not, or another place for them to subscribe. I'm not quite sure why there are two and they're different. I would take this one off as well in favor of an actual lead generator or opt-in freebie type download. So then we scroll up to the top and we head over to the About Us page. So this is interesting. So your About Us page has this submenu item for specialties, which I'm not quite sure why, but we'll get into that in a minute. But if we click to the About Us page, one thing I would mention is you're going to want to go into the backside of your website and change your URLs. So right now, this is /blank-1, which you probably copied it from a blank page, and so it just defaults to that URL, which is not helpful for you because it doesn't tell Google or any other search engine what this page is about. So you're going to want to go in and change that and redirect this page to go to like /about-us/about, something like that that tells both search engines and potential visitors what exactly this page is about. Okay, so we get into this About Us section, and it is actually the exact same About Us that you had on the first page. So I would take that off. You don't need the same information on both pages because right down here you have this Get to Know Me section, which I love. It tells us who you are, about your past as a touring musician, some things you like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, which I like too. So there's a connection right there that would be very easy for a potential customer to say, oh, they're like me, which is exactly what you want. So I would actually move this Get to Know Me section up to the top. You can just change this heading to Get to Know Me. You can leave this as About if you want, or you can put Get to Know Me, and just replace this entire section with what you have right down here because this is really good. So let's take a look at the specialties sub-menu item here. So if we click on this, again, you'll want to update that URL. But if we go into specialties, I can see that there are 6 things that you list as your specialties, which I'll be honest is a fairly extensive list. You have group travel, ocean and river cruising, celebration travel, all-inclusives, wellness, and LGBTQ+. At first glance, those things don't seem very related, but I would actually recommend connecting them together. So you basically have 3 broad categories. So group travel and celebration travel often can go hand in hand. So those could be one specialty. Ocean and river cruising and all-inclusive, again, not the same thing, but it's that same idea of everything's taken care of, everything's covered in the cost. um, it makes sense to group them together. And then your wellness and LGBTQ plus are actually both considered special interest travel. So there's three separate kind of overarching specialties, which I would actually redesign this into three columns. Then each of those can click into pages where you really go into detail about what is group travel, how does it work to plan a group with you. Um, if somebody's looking to plan a baby moon, a honeymoon, what does that look like? Those sub pages where you can really go into detail and incorporate a lot of keywords that work well with search engines that will make your page easier for someone looking for it to find it. Um, so that would be my suggestion on specialties, and I would actually pull it out from under the About Us, and make it its own page, listed up here. Then let's head over to services. Again, we have a very broad paragraph. Like this really describes every travel advisor. So I want to know what makes your services special. Why would somebody work specifically with you? So I would recommend definitely going into more detail about what your services are, how they work, and what makes them special. Then we have this travel planning section, which if you build out that specialties page, you could take this out completely, because obviously it's services. Travel planning is a service that you would provide. You don't need to have this in your services page at all if you have it really covered well elsewhere. Then we get down to things that get very specific. So ticketing fees, multi-destination, international, and single destination or one destination travel. And really, you're getting into the nuts and bolts of what you charge and how you charge it, which I usually recommend this kind of detailed information be covered in the discovery call or an initial consultation, and be if you need to put details, that they go on more of like an FAQ page, because unfortunately, when people get to this page and they're still looking, they haven't made a decision to work with you yet. This amount of detail can actually turn them off. It becomes too detailed, they get overwhelmed, they get confused, and they click away. So I would recommend keeping it very high level and then moving the details elsewhere. So then you also have your privacy policy listed here, which I would not take up the space in your menu bar. You could actually easily move this down to the bottom of your website. It's not at all uncommon to put terms and conditions and privacy policy in the footer, to open up this real estate in your menu bar for things that are more valuable, because I'll be honest, most people don't look at the menu and go, oh, the privacy policy, I want to read that. It's just kind of we have to have it, put it at the bottom, make it easy for them to get to. You don't need to highlight it. Then we head over to the blog page, and looks like you have three blog posts right now. Maybe you took a bit of a break for a bit, and it looks like you are now back into blogging. I am noticing one interesting little glitch here. For some reason, this picture is superimposing itself over your most recent blog post. So I would take a look at that and try and figure out what's going on there. So then you have three blog posts that are very broad. So I would recommend focusing on one or two things that you want to write blog posts on for maybe a few weeks, and really start building some of those keywords and that SEO so that people can find your site. I would also recommend taking off the login and sign up. It's a default that Wix puts on there, not necessary at all. I would take that off unless you use some type of membership portion on your site. So what I would recommend, because there are some There's a lot of copy work that I would suggest that you do. There's also some, while I like the overall outline, there are a lot of design changes that I would recommend just to make it a little more user friendly, make a little more sense. You're going to want to build out some of those pages. So I would actually suggest starting from scratch, finding a template that just works really well now that you've gotten into the pages that you want to have. So if that is something that you are interested in taking on yourself, you absolutely can do that on Wix. Or, of course, copy and design are what we do at the Savvy Travel Advisor. So just head over to thesavvytraveladvisor.com and click on the schedule consultation link, and we could sit down and talk about what your options are, what changes you want to make to actually get people finding your website and getting that calendar booked out so that when they schedule a consultation, you're not available tomorrow, you're too busy.